headphones on. Make sure you can hear everything. Get it shared everywhere. What's up, Facebook Live? We'll get things kicking here in a little bit. You guys know how this works. We'll go ahead and get everything shared everywhere, and we'll get the recording started that you can hear later on SoundCloud, iTunes, the whole bit. That's going to be my massive disaster today. This computer's going to be too slow. Usually it's the iPad that screws us all up. There we go. Now I can look at myself, and what's really fun is when I watch myself and I'm trying to make sure everything's going good, and then it's like I'm 7 seconds behind, or like 3 or 4 seconds behind whatever's happening on here. Always a lot of fun. What is up, SoundCloud listeners, iTunes listeners, East of the Bend podcast? Today's episode is brought to you by Dempsey's Food and Spirits. Game day watch parties at 346 South High Street in Columbus, Ohio. Today's another one of our special part 2 of our Coaches Spotlight episodes. We're super pumped to bring these episodes to everybody. We got Josh Whetstone in the house. As always, we got my boy here, Will Havanis. What's up, Will?
Hey.
They changed it up on me. I like it. We are the official podcast of the Notre Dame Fan Club of Columbus. So with that being said, we'll get things rolling here. I know there's a lot of people excited about this particular episode. Let's see. Before we get going here, what else do we got going on? Coming up a couple weeks, we got Katie Myers of Notre Dame Social Media. She's the director of Notre Dame Social Media. She'll be coming on with us, I think it's August 12th at 5 p.m. And then we got the big one, Allison Hayes. She's coming on with us. I think it is August 17th. And in fact, I know it is, 7 p.m. Then next week, we'll be right back with you for our third episode of the Coaches Spotlight series with Tim Johnson. He's the defensive coordinator of Marion Franklin. So with that being said, check us out at East of the Bend, Facebook, the Twitter, all over the place. Wherever you get your podcasts, check us out. We are Facebook Live right now, and we got a YouTube channel now. Can you believe it, Will? We got a YouTube channel. Why?
Yeah.
Yeah. Why do we have a YouTube channel? Because we got to be everywhere. That's why. So yeah, East of the Bend on the YouTube channel as well. So Josh Whetstone's in the house. He's the head coach at West Muskingum, former coach of Millersport High School. How you doing, Josh? Thanks for coming in, man.
Doing well. Glad to be here, and glad you could come in and talk about the program.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That's one of the things that these coaches spotlight shows are about is just kind of giving these coaches a spotlight there in their program and getting their name out there and things like that. It's important for these young coaches. It's kind of an influx right now. I mean, look at the NFL. You got what's the guy's name in L.A. The young coach in L.A. Who am I thinking of? Sean McVay. He's 31 years old. I mean, we got a total influx of young coaches out there. Josh, you're what, 32?
Yeah, that's right. I'm 32 years old.
Yeah, 32 years old. So Before we get cracking here with Josh's interview, I got to pat me and Willie on the back a little bit. I read an article this week, Willie, that the average podcast is only making it 6 months right now.
All right.
We've been rocking for 18 months, and the average podcast is not making it 20 episodes, and we're on 33. So we got that going for us.
So we are doubly better than the average.
We're doubly better than the average. I like it. So have you guys been? I know last night, me and Will and our other co-host Jerry, he's not here today. We were like 16-year-old girls texting on the couches last night. Did you guys? Anybody checking out Last Chance U? You liking this season, or how you feel?
Yeah, I kind of do. Yeah. I'm not gonna lie.
You like it?
The head coach is, he's a little rough around the edges and hard to deal with, but I like it better than last season on Last Chance U. First season of Last Chance U might be the best one ever. Obviously, it's first season and everything like that, but I'm glad they switched it up and went to a different college.
How about you, Josh? Have you watched any of Last Chance U yet?
Yeah, I've seen the first two seasons. I haven't had a chance to watch the new one yet, though. I enjoyed the first two, though. It's good in-depth look into a small college as opposed to some of these big colleges they have.
Do you ever go Last Chance U on anybody?
No, not at all. Don't think I'd be around very long if I did.
Oh, my God. This guy this season, I don't know.
Oof.
He is...
F-bomb every third word.
Every third word. Literally. Sometimes you exaggerate. You say, this guy uses the F-bomb literally every third word. He's from Compton, and he's dropped into Kansas and taking care of this program. And the difference in this one is this program's been in shambles. It's not
bad.
Yeah, it's not good. This program's not good at all. And where East Mississippi, they're a powerhouse.
Yeah.
So, so me, Will, Jerry, I'm texting Jerry. Here, set the scene for you. I'm on the couch. I'm all snuggled in. I'm like, this is what a 31-year-old does on a Friday night right here. Netflix, and I'm snuggling in. And I got the boys asleep finally, and I'm texting Jerry about 8 texts in, and next thing I know, I get this text from Will that says, Last Chance U Season 3 with big old eye emoji. And I was like, holy shit, we're watching it right now. Like, this is awesome. So, yeah, we're blowing each other up with that. It's definitely a cool concept. If you've seen it, it's awesome. I'm sure you agree. I do think this coach is a little bit over the top. I liked the characters from the first season. I didn't think they were as troublemakers. They were just not intelligent. They were a little more likable.
Are you talking about the players?
Yeah, the players.
Yeah,
I felt like the second season they were these are not good individuals.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. It's easy to like somebody that's just in a bad situation. The one kid, Ollie, wasn't bringing paper to class. And that's kind of likable, lovable guy, whatever. But then it's the second season, these dudes are in trouble for burglary, domestic assault, all this stuff. It's this is a little bit harder to wrap my arms around these kids a little bit. So
some of the kids in the third season are similar to that. One guy, he played at Texas Tech. And
he's actually back at Texas Tech.
Don't spoil it. Seriously? Thanks, man.
Hey.
I'm done. I watched 2 episodes done for the season.
Are you talking about this season?
Yeah, this season.
Oh,
no. You're talking about the linebacker.
The linebacker. I was going to say,
no, I'm talking
we don't
about...
spoiler alert a season ago. You're done. You're dead to me if you haven't watched it. So
yeah.
That's cool. Check it out if you haven't already. So let's get to it. Josh Whetstone, we got him in the house. So this will be the first and only of the 3 Coaches Spotlight episodes to have our guest in house. So we're really excited about that. Josh, tell us a little bit about yourself, man.
Well, I graduated from Millersport High School, not too far from here. That's my alma mater. Went on from there to play football at West Liberty State College, and started getting into coaching. Coached for 2 years at the Lindsley School. Decided we need to get back into the area. My wife and we wanted to get back home. Interviewed for a teaching job over West Muskingum, but at the time I'd already committed to coaching at Millersport, the alma mater. But I said, hey, give me 1 year. I'll come back and coach at West, which I did for 4 more years. Got offered another head coaching opportunity at Millersport, and now we're back at West again. So I'm excited to be there.
Nice, man. Nice. And how's your numbers at West? I was going to ask you that earlier before the show.
We're actually up from last year. Last year we had 28, I believe. This year we're up into the upper 30s, so it's between 36 and 38, depends on the day and who shows up.
Yeah. So hold on. So you had 28 kids last year.
Yeah, we had 28 kids,
and you have to field 22.
That's exactly right. Well, 11, depending on how many guys are going both ways.
Yeah. Wow, that's tough.
But you know what? I mean, kind of. This is one of the interviews I'll be able to speak very much from the heart on, because Josh, you were one of my best friends in school. I ran for a lot of yards behind Josh's butt. So I mean, yeah, Josh is a great guy, but he's used to it. If anybody's built for it, my friend, you are. You know what that's like.
Well, I appreciate that. We did a lot of two-way playing back in Millersport, didn't we?
I mean, I don't think my junior year, I don't think I came off the field at all. You played offense, you played defense, and we played special teams.
That's right. You play the purple and gold. You better be ready to bleed for the purple and gold.
Yeah, exactly. I think my senior year. So my senior year, I was able to. Here we go. I'm going to date myself. And your mom says hi, by the way. So my senior.
Wait, are you not going to say hi back to your mom?
Hi, Mom.
All right.
So my senior year, I think it was like the biggest treat ever that I got to come off special teams. And so, like, I played offense, defense, but I didn't play any of the kickoffs. And, like, as a junior, I was like, this is awesome for, like, the first 3 weeks. Then my senior year, when I realized how bad that sucked, I'm like, oh, this is great. This is my breather. I get to take a breather. For sure, man. So tell us about it. I wanted to hear some of your college playing experience, dude. When you went to college, I know and your mom says hi to me, too. Hey, Miss Whetstone. When you went away to college, man, we kind of lost touch over the years. Your dad's still my doctor, and I talked through him a little bit about Millersport and how you were doing and this and that. And yeah, man, what was your college experience like down at West Liberty?
It was really good. I was lucky enough to actually play under 2 head coaches, which is kind of bizarre. But after my freshman year, we got a new head coach. They let go Bob and brought in Roger Wiley, and he was pretty awesome. He did a great job for the program and started building it the right way and building it back up into what it should be. It was kind of funny. My first time there, I was actually recruited as a defensive lineman, and you can see, as I'm sure you can see on the film there, I'm not really necessarily a defensive lineman type, and they noticed that as well. So after 2 weeks, the coach brought me in and he said, "Hey, Josh, we might be able to see the field some your senior year if you stay on defense, but on offense you may start next year if you make the switch now." So I said, "Hey, let's do that."
Mm-hmm.
So I'd rather be on the field than not.
No doubt, man.
I was lucky enough to start for 3 years at center. Played a lot of ball, 3-time all-league player, 2-time all-district academic. It was a good time, and we had some good football teams. Our offenses were number 1 in the nation 2 years running, or my junior senior year. So we played some fun ball. A lot of points like basketball, though. I think some of our scores were like 70-43. Kind of thing.
Whoa, you're playing that rich rod basketball on grass, man.
That's right.
Yeah. You see, one of the things that's for a lineman, one of your biggest thrills has got to be watching your back. Take it to the house. Did you block for some pretty good running backs then? Yeah,
we had some really good running backs. Derek Stickles was one of them. He was one of our top rushers of all time. I don't think he quite broke the list. And then Eddie Hills was there for 2 years as well. And I cannot remember a year that we didn't rush for at least 1,000 yards. And but we threw for 3 times as much. So I mean, we were always passing the ball.
All right, so you're a center, or you were a center, and we did the draft show a ways back, and we were talking about guards in the NFL. And I think Greg threw it out there that out of the offense, the offensive guards were the 11th rated position.
Mm-hmm. On offense, it was the 11th rated position as far as importance.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts on that?
I think it just depends on what offense you're running.
Okay.
I mean, if you're running a passing offense like everybody in the NFL, then obviously you want your tackles to be solid.
Right.
If you're running the wing T like we're running, our guards better be able to move, and they better be good blockers.
Okay.
So I would say that it just depends on the offense.
So if you had to choose right now, what is the most important position on offense? I'm sure it's the center, right?
Most important position on the offense is always the quarterback.
As the quarterback. I got you. So you said you're running wing T down there. Talk to us about that a little bit. That was going to be one of my later questions about what kind of offense you were running. But yeah, let's get to it now.
The wing T is something I went to at Millersport, and we're going back to it this year as well. It enables less or smaller schools to compete with bigger schools because it kind of slows the game down. You're not rushing up to the line every 5 seconds, and if you throw an incomplete pass 3 times in a row on a no huddle spread offense, you haven't run a lot of clock off. So for us, it's going to be about shortening the game, trying to play good defense, trying to control the clock, and that's what the wing tee does for us. Our strength this year is definitely going to be up front on our line. We have a lot of seniors and juniors up there. We only have one senior in our skill set this year, so it's a little bit of a change for us. Last year we had all juniors and seniors in the line, or sophomores in the line, and we had tons of seniors. So it just kind of it cycles like all things.
Did you always want to be a coach, Josh? I don't remember us ever talking about that when we were younger. Like, I know you always wanted to play, obviously, but
yeah, playing was always in the cards. I think I figured it out midway through high school that maybe something I wanted to do. I think like all people, we all dream about playing professional sports, and then reality smacks us in the face that, hey, I'm not
quite
6'5".
literally sometimes.
I'm not 6'5", and I don't run a 4 flat 40. So better come up with something else. But I figured it out pretty quick, and a lot of it was due to some of the coaching experiences that I had coaching me. I wanted to make sure that I could do things just as well or even better than some of those guys, and that was what I wanted to work. I wanted to work with kids as well. So.
Yeah, and you have kind of a unique thing going on there. We talked a little bit before the show about, you're a music choir teacher on top of being the head football coach. So talk to us about that a little bit.
And sing your answer.
Yeah, and sing your answer.
Oh, no singing here. But yeah, it's a weird combo, and but I enjoy it. I've always been involved in music as long as I can remember. My family's always been very musical. I'm sure Greg can attest to that. They all sang for whatever reason. We were blessed with good singing ability, and I went on. I actually went to colleges and said, hey, I want to do this. I want to play football. I want to be in the vocal music program. So what will you do for me? There are some that wouldn't work with you. It's amazing that some of them would not work with you. But West Liberty fortunately did, and they were very courteous about it, and they worked with me to the fullest extent, and they were awesome. So
very nice, very nice. Yeah, I mean that is very unique. I know when I kind of I did an announcement show just to basically throw out everything we had coming up, and that was one of the big things. Everybody's like, oh, that is very unique. That's a very cool thing for sure.
I'm pretty sure I'm probably the only head coach in Ohio that has that teaching combo.
You know what?
If I'm wrong, please text Greg or let him know.
Yeah. Hey, and who's your guys' apparel supplier? It's Nike, right?
We go through BSN, but a lot of our equipment is Nike.
We're calling Nike tonight. We're going to let them know. We got to sell this. This is marketing at its finest right now. That's right. This is marketing at its finest. He is the only music teacher, choir teacher, head coach. That's funny. So what brought you to West Muskingum, Josh? I know you talked about wanting to get back in the area and stuff, but tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, originally it just started with trying to get back into the area and get closer to home, because we lived in West Virginia for 4 years, my wife and I, 2 years in college and 2 years out of college. And it was good times. We had really loved the Wheeling area. It was good for us. But there's nothing like having grandparents at home, and we had our first kid in the way and decided it was time to get back. And we decided to come on home, and it's been a really good decision in that regard. West is very similar to, I would say, very similar clientele to what Millersport had when we were growing up. A little more diverse, but I think it's a good situation. It reminds me a lot of where I grew up, where I went to school, and that's what I love about West. So.
Nice, man. Very nice.
So with all football programs, you have your alumni. What do you guys do to engage the alumni?
That's something we need to actually start doing more of. I'm sure as you can go through, there's been ups and downs in the records at West Muskingum. You can see that very plainly. You'll have a great year, and then it'll come down, and you'll have a mediocre year. There's just cycles like all things. But there is a decent group of alumni out there that just need to be reached. So we're trying to actually start getting active and trying to reach out to some of them. Sometimes it's just through Facebook, but we need to get active with that. And we have a lot of projects coming up that require their help. I mean, bottom line is, as an alumnus of Millersport, for instance, we want to see the school go, even though we're not there anymore. We want to see it do well. And it's the same thing for West. You don't want to look back and say, oh man, my school's falling apart, so we need to start reaching out to those guys.
Yeah, definitely.
So being the head coach of a high school football program, do you engage a lot with the middle school football program and Pop Warner and stuff like that?
Well, again, with my teaching job, I'm very unique. I actually teach in both buildings. I teach in the middle school and the high school, so I have full contact with all those guys. So I was able to actually recruit the incoming freshman class as 8th graders,
Okay.
and go down and get them. But yeah, I hire the middle school coaches completely. Those are all my guys. They work through me, they talk through me, and they run a lot of things we want them to run, which is good for us. Great guys too. The good junior high football coaches that are excited about football all the time. That's the way it should be. We want kids to be excited. The youth league, we have pretty good numbers. I think we have a little over 50 or 60, and there's some good guys working down there as well. We just got done running our youth camp Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, which I think is really important. I don't charge anybody for that. They don't. Some youth camps you charge them money and I'm not big on that. It's about my kids getting in front of those kids, so that way they say, "Oh, that's John Smith on Friday night throwing the ball," or whoever the case may be.
Yeah. So do you guys only run one camp?
We just run one camp, but it's run by our kids.
Oh, okay.
So I make my football players run that camp.
That's very cool.
I don't do it. They don't want to come on and be coached by me at that age. Who cares about Coach Whetstone at that age? I want to work with the quarterback. I want to work with that left tackle.
And on the flip side of that, you might get some kids that are, we've seen them. The kids are a little more timid, might be a little more intimidated. Maybe all the head high school coaches coming down. Now, some of these kids may identify a little bit better with some, with the high school kids themselves. I think that's a good thing you got going there for sure. So one of the things, kind of speaking to the camp before we get to our next question, it just hit me in the head. Women's football camps. Do you guys do anything like that at all? Like women's engagement? I know we had Ryan Aiello on from North Catholic. They do a women's football camp, and on a bigger level, the Kelly Cares Foundation, they do a women's football camp at Notre Dame. It's open to any woman, mother, whatever, kind of spreading the game and just increasing the knowledge base for these mothers out there that may be concerned about, football and the dangers of it and things like that.
We haven't done anything like that, but that's not a bad idea. I tell you what, the big fear for a lot of these mothers now are the concussion syndrome going through. They're really concerned about concussions, and I think we're doing a lot of good things with the game currently, with both equipment and rules, just to help make the game safer. But I think that it'd be a good thing to start reaching out and do that kind of stuff. But anyone who wants to have a conversation, I'm always an open book. They can come talk to me anytime they want. But we haven't done any women's camp. That's interesting. I've not heard of that.
And I found my first candidate. I think her name's Julie Whetstone. She can go ahead and be the one to. She can go ahead and run it.
Mom can run it. I tell you what, she knows how to do that.
Well, and what's funny though is that women's camp up there, Pocky Kelly, Coach Kelly's wife, and then Allison Hayes, who we're going to have on. Those are the two people that actually run the women's camp. And I don't know who's doing. I don't know if it's Coach Aiello's fiance or who's doing it for North Catholic. But yeah, man, that might be something you may want to look into. I know it's kind of a thing, not just for those two schools, but I have seen stuff like that floating around. That's why it just struck me. I'm like, maybe I'll see if you guys have anything like that going on. And your mom says yes, she's in. So there you go, done deal. Done deal.
I should have just brought her on the podcast. She would have enjoyed that.
Yeah. You know what? You got to go. We're gonna take a 2-hour break or whatever how long it takes to get Julie here, and she's on. Josh, I don't even know you anymore. So, tell me one of the biggest questions, kind of on a more serious note, is like cultures of programs like Millersport. Like, let's be real. Like Millersport traditionally not very successful. Lately, West Muskingum's success has been pretty minimal. How do you go about changing that kind of culture like that?
Well, I think the biggest thing is, first of all, with the open enrollment that our society has taken up, we have got to find ways to keep kids in our buildings. That's the number one thing, and I think we're starting to do that. This 8th grade class that are now freshmen, we've kept them together mostly, and that's a big thing right there. Because think about these really good classes we had coming through Millersport, for instance. They were people that played together all the way through. Mm-hmm. That's what we need. We need kids to stick together and play together and want to play for their school. Instead of bouncing for the next fad or the next thing going on. And the other thing, culture-wise, these kids, some of them don't know how to win. So now we're trying to teach them how to compete, and we do that throughout the summer. We actually split them into 3 platoons throughout the summer, and it may kind of sound campy, but we do competitions every single day. So we're doing, maybe it's a race, maybe it's a strength competition, maybe it's whatever. We did an egg toss at one point, just trying to get these guys excited and competing against each other, learning how to compete and not give up. And that's what we've been trying to do. And the winner of that platoon challenge is the steak dinner, so it's kind of got something on the line for them too.
Oh wow, nice.
So can I come down and compete?
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, we'll do a host competition for sure. For sure.
East of the Bend will be sponsoring that.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. I got a $20 gift card.
Hey, get my makeup artist on that.
So So yeah, we always joke that because I told him about some of your kids may have wanted to watch the show today, and he's like, man, I got to get my makeup artist, and I'm like, yeah, let me consult that part of my brain because for those of you that don't know or that haven't listened before, maybe I am literally marketer, editor, lead host, promoter. I do all the things outside of the chunk that Will takes off. That's why I'm forever grateful to this guy over here. He takes a big chunk off me, and so does Jerry. As far as banters with the show, it's much more interesting than just listening to me talk to myself. I assure you.
Yeah, right.
No kidding, man.
So, Coach, with like spring and summer conditioning, stuff like that, how soon do you guys start getting back at it? And, what is allowed by the state? I don't know if there's rules or anything like that. Oh,
yeah, there's rules out the rear end for that. We seem to be the only sport that can't do any kind of out-of-season training. You have fall ball for baseball. Mm-hmm. You have spring basketball for you have all these things you can do. We seem to be the only ones that can't do that for whatever reason. That being said, you now have a rule of 4. Where you can actually, a coach can work with 4 kids on football-specific activities. So if I wanted to take 3 receivers and a quarterback out, I could do that. Which during the winter, that's more realistic anyway, because some kids may be playing basketball or wrestling or all these other things, and that's probably more realistic anyway. But we start 30 days lifting. I mean, after we're done, we get the 30-day limit off, and then we're back into it. So we're lifting 3 days a week throughout the entire winter and through the spring, and then summer picks up and we start doing a lot more conditioning. We got our camp days. We get, I think, 10 camp days is what it is. Some coaches like to lump them together. I like doing 1 a week throughout the entire summer, because if you have a week where you have 2-3 kids on vacation and you did all 5 of your camp days that week, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
So whereas you're only missing 1 day if they go on vacation, and you do them 1 a week. So I like doing them that way. With our lifting is going to change drastically this year. I was fortunate enough to get in and get a weight room class too, which that's going to be good as well. Nice. For us. We'll actually have 2 periods of weightlifting during the day for our football players, which that's going to go a long way.
I can't imagine where you got that idea from, ever.
No one's ever said that to me.
Yeah, I can't imagine where that idea came from. Yeah, at Millersport, we used to have these. Usually, you could replace your study hall with weightlifting or something like that. And man, I remember. I think it was my freshman year, like my 6th and 7th period, I had an hour and a half to work out because I had back-to-back study halls. It was beautiful. Yeah. It was beautiful. And that's good for progression as some of these kids. Now, your weight training program, do you have a strength and conditioning coach?
No, that's basically me and Jeremy Ketchum, who's my assistant at Dakota Getrich, who's also one of my assistants, and we kind of help tag team it and run things that way. Come up with things every week for the kids to work out. I mean, we even work out with them, particularly those 2. They'll get after with the guys, which is great for them because they see the coaches doing it as well. But yeah, we come up with it ourselves every week. We follow typical structure. You start with high reps and move your way down to low reps, but it's all about creating muscle mass, but also taking that muscle mass and making it functional for the football field. Yeah. So, I mean, it doesn't do you any good if you're just a body, power lifter all the time. You got to eventually transfer it to athletic movement.
Now, do you rely on what you did in college, or do you follow trends and see what other coaches are doing, or like Google it, or
a little combination of everything? A lot of my base knowledge comes from both what I did in Millersport and what we had in college. But from there, we also have things that are changing with the times. There's so much stuff out there saying that, okay, maybe we should be doing a lift on the field, take stuff out there while we're conditioning. Mm-hmm. So we'll do circuits on the field sometimes where we have something every 10 yards the kids have to do, just because then it's making it, again, more functional for the field, because it's great if you can squat 500 pounds, but if you can't move, you're not doing us any good. If you can't move that 500 pounds in directions, you're not doing us any good. It's not the same form lift. It's a different kind of lift. So we're always learning, always trying to adapt. You got to be like a sponge.
Yeah, that was going to be one of my questions, is kind of, do you, there's always these trends. So me and Will, we consider ourselves somewhat lifetime athletes, never has-beens, basically.
Yeah.
And, we still compete as grapplers and stuff like that, doing jiu-jitsu, and it comes up a lot of these trends of the meat and potato lifting versus these new age functional lifts. What's functional? I know a couple years ago, everybody was doing functional training. You weren't benching, you weren't squatting, you weren't deadlifting. You were doing like a resistance drop step, like wrestling drop step. You were doing all these like various things, the same thing you were doing on the field or on the mat or whatever. And then it started to transition a couple years ago where they were saying, well, that because you're using the same muscles, you're more prone to injury because not only are you training them in your strength conditioning, but you're also training them on the field. Now we've almost transitioned back to this meat and potato powerlifting style. So how would you say your strength conditioning runs then?
I would see my definition of powerlifting is the type of reps and weight you're putting on there. So when I think of powerlifting, I'm thinking of high weight, low reps. That's what I think of.
Okay.
But you're definitely a traditional lifting set for sure. I mean, we're benching, we're squatting, we're doing a lot of cleaning. We clean of some sort every single day. Those Olympic lifts are important. And we do a lot of isolating the muscles as well. So we'll isolate the triceps, isolate the biceps, work our way. I would double legs up almost every day if I could. Legs and back are everything, and core as well. But that we're always trying to isolate those muscles, and we'll do a lot of supersets too. So we'll be do a leg exercise and then go turn right around and do a back exercise because we're not. You're supposed to be technically resting, but you're resting that leg that you just did while you're doing your back exercise. That's the idea behind it.
Yeah, I mean in football and just like grappling football, basketball, for instance, they're all. They're all full body sports. So, you're not just pushing with your arms. If you're pushing with your arms, you probably just got beat if you're on the offensive line, Right. I mean, you guys are playing in a tough division out there, very tough with Sheridan and Tri-Valley, guys like that. So you definitely got to get those guys put together. And I see on Twitter you put this, is it the Comanche Club?
Yeah.
Yeah, tell me a little bit about that.
That's an idea I actually I borrowed. I'll say I borrowed it.
All right, I like that. I've borrowed a few things since I've been doing this show.
I was lucky. The guy I took over for at Miller Sport, Terry, he was a very good motivational coach, and he had some great ideas for getting kids motivated. And this is something they wanted to continue. Those kids like, hey, are we doing Comanche Club? They asked me. That's the first thing they asked me when I got there. It's like, how many games are we going to win? No, are we doing Comanche Club? That was important to them. And what it is, it's a 5:30 a.m. wake up call for them. They got to be there at 5:30. We flip the lights on. We turn some music on the speakers. We set up stations around the facility, and they do not have to come. It is completely voluntary. But out of 36 or 7 kids, we had 25 there, so it was a pretty good morning. And then we feed them breakfast and stuff like that. The incentive I give them, though, they get a shirt if they come to one. They get 2 shirts. They come to another. They also get a special sticker for their helmets if they come to that too. And that's a big incentive for these kids. They don't want to not have that sticker.
Oh yeah.
But it's awesome. We kick their butts for about an hour and a half out there in the field, and we run all over the place. We do lifts. We do all sorts of stuff. It's kind of a true warrior mentality, lift workout, see who's going to be there when the going gets tough,
Yeah. Yeah, I seen there's a hill on there that looked it looked kind of familiar to something we used to do down at Dillon. Like another idea you might have borrowed, huh?
I took Miller Sport to Old Man's Cave, and we also did Deer Creek. They did not want to go to Dillon Dam. They had a bad taste in their mouth from it for whatever reason. I'm not sure what it was. I was told not to go there, but I personally like Dillon. It's manageable for me. Everything's right there. You're talking about everything's within a mile, so it's really easy to get to. So we're going to go back up there here in a week here, and it's going to be we're going to bond. We're going to do all that kind of stuff too. But we're going to work. We're going to get better at football. I mean, that's part of the thing, and getting better condition. That sled hill up there is a beast.
Oh yeah, no doubt, man. I've threatened to run that thing again a couple times each summer, and it never happens. So
I'll tell you what. I went out there and scouted it with my family the other day, and I got butterflies, and I wasn't going to run it.
Yeah,
that's the worst part. I remembered running it.
Yeah, that thing is brutal. Well, Will, have you ever been down to Dillon at all?
I have not.
So it used to be an old ski slope. And they used to take us down there when we were in high school. When the first coach was there that we had was Coach Burkhart, and they would take us down there. We'd camp, and it was a 3-a-day essentially. First practice was a run. I think it was like a 5K, something similar, early in the morning. Then at noon you would do a type of sprint, and I think it was the second or third day was always sled hill, and you had to run it ever how many times the coaches told you to. You start at the bottom and you run all the way to the top, and it was never no less than 6. So yeah.
You know what I'm hearing?
What are you hearing?
I'm hearing that
challenge?
You're going to have a special guest that Greg is going to come out and
run it.
Be your special guest.
Yeah, let me know when it is. I'll come run it. Absolutely, I'll run it with you guys, 100%.
We walked down it. I was like, I got to at least walk this thing so I can remember exactly what it feels like. What I'm about to do to these boys. And my daughters actually walked it with me, and I said, "Hey, you got to run up the hill." And she's like, "Why?" So just run up there and I'll take a picture of you real quick. You don't have to run the whole thing.
Yeah.
And so, but that way I can say, well, my daughters ran it.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
You got to be able to say that.
Yeah.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I think my favorite run is one of the things I used to do, and if I tell you this, you're going to feel challenged.
You know I will.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you remember the one they took us in the water? You'd go waist deep.
Oh, yeah.
You would run out, and then you would run 40 yards up the beach. And then that was the first 10, and then the second 10 was neck deep.
Oh,
run
nice.
out, and then 40 yards up the beach. That was.
I'm gonna find someplace and I'm gonna try that.
I know you are. That's why.
Yeah.
That's why I mentioned it.
I remember that very closely because remember we piling the trucks after that, and I was dumb enough to not put my shoes back on, so I sliced my foot open. You remember
Yeah,
that?
I do remember that.
I had like 18 stitches during 2 days in the bottom of my foot. It was terrible.
Yeah.
And I ran the hill that way.
Yeah, I remember that.
I think I missed a half practice or
Yeah,
something
half
like that.
practice. I remember I couldn't hear because I ended up with some nasty ear infection from that awesome water down there because it's so clean. And you remember though they did tell us not to put our heads under.
They did, yeah.
And the
it
very
still
first,
came.
yeah. Well, I was like a sophomore in high school, and I'm like, let's go,
Like, hey, go get out in that water. Just don't put your head underneath the water.
what are you talking about? Oh man, that's funny. So Josh, we talk about the preparation for season as far as in the weight room and getting ready for season. Now let's talk a little bit about like on the field preparation and how you're going to have prep for that. And I brought this up with Coach Aiello. It's something I find fascinating is the Dartmouth style of practice and hitting. We already touched on a little bit of these, the parents in football in general in the future, and that's a whole big topic. We could spend a show once a day on football and its future and this and that. But how are you going to style your practices? And are you going to use anything as far as crash pads or movable, the mobile dummies, and the amount of hitting you guys will do?
Well, a lot of the things that we're limited now. I don't know if you guys know that. We actually are limited. I think it's like 30 minutes of contact per practice.
Oh, wow. I did not know that.
It's something like that. I double check on that. But now that being said, a football play is 8 seconds long.
Yeah.
And it's 30 seconds or 30 minutes per kid. So
okay, yeah.
So as long as you're keeping track of that, you're all right. But so I mean, yeah, a team session. Yeah, a 30-minute team session is not 30 minutes. It's actually like 8 minutes.
Yeah. No.
Of contact.
Yeah.
It's kind of bizarre how it works. But anyway, we're taking precautions. We do a lot of the hawk tackling from the Seahawks. We'd like to do a lot of that. It's a good way to implement it without actually kicking the crap out of each other every 5 seconds. But yeah, I mean, the thing that with the Dartmouth, the big thing with there is when you get to college football, you guys know how to tackle. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? When you get there, you know how to do it. We're literally teaching these kids how to tackle sometimes, especially if they didn't play Pee Wee football or if they didn't play junior high football. I mean, they should have a base if they come through those. But, we're trying to teach them how to do it. And I don't know how you do it without, getting a little live action. And so we typically try to save full contact for the end of practices unless we're specifically working on things. So our drills will be more half contact, more technique based, and then as we get towards the end, we start doing more full contact practices.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I always harp on this show, if you go back, everybody can go back, listen to all the episodes, please, and find it. I'm not going to tell you which ones because actually I don't really know, and I want the listens. But one of the things that I've harped on a couple times is, less hitting, I don't feel like is the answer. Like, less contact, less form tackling. I just don't feel like that's the answer. Because in jiu-jitsu, for instance, and I use this example a lot, and in grappling, to forcibly make somebody else do something they don't want to do is very hard. It's very hard to do. You can chuck up 500-pound bench, you can squat 8, you can form tackle a dummy all you want to, but to size up a running back and actually take them down, they're
going to move.
They're going to move.
Yeah.
They're going to move.
Yeah.
And, you might get your head down. And that's one of the arguments, again, I won't go too far off on it, but it's one of the arguments against some of these targeting calls is like the target changes. It drives me nuts.
Offensive guys can draw a targeting very easily by ducking their head.
Absolutely.
It's very easy. And especially when you get in the pros, those guys have been doing this so long, they just know.
Yeah.
I'm about to get hit. I'm going to duck my head.
Yeah. And I'm going to get my extra 15 out of it.
Right.
Until I start emphasizing more wrestling into my grappling and instead of being one of those butt scooting guard pullers. Yeah. Chuck it up down there. It wasn't until then that I was like, man, you see a guy hit a nice takedown, and now you guys have wrestling at West Muskingum, right?
Yeah, we do. We have a pretty good wrestling program. We had 2 guys make state last year.
Oh, nice. So you see it. You see like these guys, hitting a takedown and just the setup and the technique that it takes. I don't think that this less hitting or just pop and stop. I don't think that's the answer. I think guys have to be able to feel that contact at least.
I agree, and I think that the more you have the contact, the less scared you get of it.
Yeah, not to mention that if you don't know how to tackle and you're not allowed to learn how to tackle, what's going to happen when the game is going on?
Right.
You're just going to throw your body at them.
It never fails. The guys that always get hurt from tackling are always 90% of the time are the guys who are scared. That it's not usually the guys who aren't. If you're excited about hitting, you're going to go hit, and you're going to do it the right way because you're going to go do it. Now you got those flukes. You always got a fluke injury,
100%.
but 9 times out of 10, the guy who cringes away from the contact is the one who takes the blow of the contact.
Yeah, and I talk about all the time. I mean, I see it in myself. If I take a couple weeks off the mat, which I don't know if a couple weeks has ever happened, but maybe a week or so off the mat, I start getting bruised. I start getting more sore. And there's a certain my first jiu-jitsu coach talked about body hardening, and it really is. Like, you remember how it was the first couple practices we hit each other? It's like, I think I was in a car wreck. Week 1, week 2 of the actual season, man, we feel great. We're good to go. And, there's that actual body conditioning your body needs to go through to take those hits.
Absolutely.
So Coach, you're the head coach. Do you just kind of sit there and let your offensive and defensive coordinators do their thing, or do you like to step in on one side or the other?
Well, I'm very fortunate. I had an assistant come back with me who I actually coached under. So Jeremy, that was one of the things we started talking, and then they actually asked me to come back. I was like, hey, I don't want to do this if it's going to be a problem, and also it's going to be weird if you come back with me. And he goes, nope, it won't be weird at all. I want to coach football. And I said, all right, great. So we coach together. Actually, we live next to each other now, which is really funny. But they he runs the offense, and I pretty much let him go because I trust him. And we also I typically call the defense right now as well.
Okay.
So again, I have my hand in that, but I'd love to pass it off at some point as well. So that's always the goal.
Do you guys so you run the wing tee on offense? What are you guys running on defense?
It's a 5-2-3-4 hybrid.
Nice.
We run a 5-2, but we have the ability to drop those ends in a coverage like a 3-4 if we need to.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, in today's day and age, with these quarterbacks, they're always running these spreads. I just don't think quarterbacks overall are good enough on this level to constantly pick you apart. So let's put some heat on them. Let's get after it.
Do you have one particular position? Like, do you like defensive line? Do you like linebackers?
I'm an offensive line guy by nature. I mean, that's what I do. Defensive line, I can do, but I have to work out a little bit more. And I've had some experience other places, but I mean, the line is it's what I'm good at. But I've also been fortunate. I actually hired another Millersport alum, Greg, Zach Whitney.
Okay.
He's coming and taking over the offensive defensive line for me this year, so I can float.
Nice.
I mean, that's why I told those guys. They were a little nervous about it at first. I'm like, oh, Coach, we kind of got used to you. But yeah, but here's the thing: his job will be you.
Yeah.
It's hard to focus on one position and then try to float around and make sure everything else.
Not
is
sure
going
if you
right.
noticed, but I run some other things. I'm a part of this. I'm a bigger part of this program. So just letting you know.
So I mean, you got to be able to do that. And Zach, you'd kill me if I called him Ralph. Zach, he's still he's doing a nice job with those guys. So.
Now, was it an adjustment for you so you're calling the defense? I mean, that's a super important role. You're essentially quarterbacking that defense. Was that an adjustment? Being an offensive guy, albeit a lineman, you guys have your place too. I can talk as the skill guy over here. You guys have your place, I guess. As a running back, you owe these guys every bit of success you have. You always owe your offensive lineman. But was it an adjustment to going to start calling a defense?
Yeah, it was actually. I'm probably an offensive-minded guy first and foremost, but on the same token, that also means I kind of think offensively, so I can kind of think, okay, a play action may be coming up next, or that kind of things. What would I do? But yeah, I mean, my first defense coordinating job was actually at West under Jeremy, and he let me kind of run my thing, and I ran his defense, but he let me trusted me to do my job, which was great. So you kind of learn a lot as you're doing it. It's like, okay, well. Now, what's funny is I don't draw my things upside down. Some defensive guys will draw the defense on the bottom. Mm-hmm. And I don't do that. I draw my defense on top. But you get used to it. You get the hang of it, and once you get the hang of it, you're good. It's kind of just a trade-off too. Offense, you put in a lot of work during the summer, installing things. Then it's just, okay, they're running this. I got to break this down. Okay, here's their studs. Defense, you don't do as much work in the summer, but you do a lot of film study and stuff like that come come game time for because you got to know exactly how many times they're going to run ISO, how many times they're going to run stretch, all those kind of plays. So it's a trade-off.
So when you call a defense, do you do it based off of like what the down and distance is, what you think they're going to run, what their formation is, or is it a combination of everything?
Combination of everything. We've been so lucky to have Huddle come into the world. I used to do all that stuff by hand. Wow. I remember putting it into an Excel format. Okay, this is 1st and 10. Okay, this is 2nd and 10. Okay, these are the run plays. Okay, we're putting them all in there just like Huddle does. Now you just type in what it is and it breaks it all down for you. It's crazy how nice it is. But yeah, I mean, if they run a run play to the right on 1st and 10, you're probably going to call something a little bit more to the right there. Yeah. So I mean that's always a tendency, and you have certain things you like to run on downs and distances too. Fortunately for defense, there's just not as much to pick from. Offenses usually have a lot more things you can pick from.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. You got any players on this fall to be on the lookout for Tornado fans? Who you think's going to really, anybody in your mind that sticks out that's going to really be a playmaker for you? I
mean, I think a lot of our veterans coming back are seniors and they're on the line. Those are the guys. If we're going to win some games, it's going to be on those guys. We have Trent Oswald who could probably play somewhere if he put his mind to it. Josh Stackhouse. Let's see, Brandon Jackson, Tyler McKenzie, and Cam Cooper, Sheldon Hart. Those guys are all coming back for our line, both sides of the ball, and actually Tyler plays some linebacker for us too. But they're a veteran group. They should be able to go out there and control line of scrimmage. It's going to be on them to have that mentality and go out there and do it. They're not used to doing that because they were the young group last year. When you're sophomores, I'm not supposed to go out there and win this game,
Right.
So now they have to do it. It's on them. We have a lot of young guys behind them. We'll have sophomores and juniors running the ball behind them. So it's on that front if we want to win some games.
So if you heard your name called out, the expectation has just been risen for you. So
especially when I come down and run that hill and I beat you.
Yeah.
So, man, do you have a game on the schedule? You guys have such a tough schedule. I touched on it a little bit earlier, and I'm not asking you to call anybody out. If you want to go the Bill Belichick route of we're just getting ready for Cincinnati. You can, but is there a game on the schedule you really look forward to?
I mean, there's always games that you're looking. You always look at them and say, okay, these are going to be good matchups, or whatever the case may be. But yeah, I mean, we're always looking towards East Knox right now. That's our week 1. That's who we had coming to town for us on week 1, and that's who we'll be looking for. It's a non-league game for us, and it's a D6, so our size school. They're going to be hard-nosed kids like they always are. I don't know if you remember playing
we
them.
scrimmage
them. They're tough, hard-nosed kids.
They're always that 4-6 to 6-4 team, but you knew you played a game the night before. That's the only thing I can remember from them. Like, they didn't win their league. Yeah, they were good. They were solid. But you woke up the next morning like, oh my God, who was that number? Whatever. Who hit me coming through the hole?
And I think they're going to be good again this year because last year I think they went 7-3, and I think they won 7 in a row or something like that, and they lost their last 3. But I think they had a lot of sophomores and juniors.
I got you.
So they have potential to be pretty good. So we're going to have to step up and really match their intensity level if we want to play well with them.
So let me ask you this. This is something that I heard, I've talked about Allison Hayes coming on the show here coming up soon, and I study everybody. I didn't have to study you too much before you came on the show. If people knew how much I actually look into them before they come on the show, they'd probably never come on. I'd be on communitywatch.com or something. You got to know about who's coming on. But Allison, I've always looked up to her, and I was listening to her talk the other day, and one of the questions she had before Notre Dame was playing Michigan State, and I'll pose it to you. West Muskingum has a successful season this year if what?
West Muskingum has a successful season this year if the line controls the line of scrimmage. 100%. That is going to be the key. If they can guarantee me 3 yards a pop, we're going to go for it on 4th down every single time, and we're going to control the ball. I mean, that is our best chance for sure.
Mm-hmm. So any kind of 4th and short, you're going for it.
I mean, if they can guarantee me 3 yards a pop, I remember someone saying that to me back in the day. I think it was Coach Burkhardt. I think he said, you get me 3 yards every time, I'll go for it on 4th down every time, and we did.
Yeah.
I mean, we were not an explosive offense that year by any means. But we would nickel and dime it down the field.
If you'll remember, we beat Fisher Catholic 7-0.
Yeah, it wasn't an offensive shootout by any means.
The most successful season in Millersport all school history. Like, we skimmed by every game. But we made the playoffs, and we won. At the end of the day, last I checked, the team that has more points wins.
As long as you score more points,
Yeah,
you're most likely to win.
Hey, you missed your funny moment there. That's what I was actually expecting him to say. If we score more points, than the
Yeah,
other
I was saying it in my head, and I'm like, just say it, please, just say it.
like I'm having a serious moment over here trying to steal one of my hero's questions, and he had a chance to just dominate it. So, Josh, we're gonna get ready and wrap it up here. Really appreciate you coming on. But do you have I want to know both. Everybody that I've asked this question to, this is how I wrap up everybody. They kind of combine it. I want to hear both. What's your favorite accomplishment or moment from your playing career and your coaching career?
From playing career, I still think that going to that playoff team back in high school, that's kind of sad because I played college football too. But man, we were the only playoff team in Miller sport history. That's something that's pretty awesome. That's something we always remember. Think about it. I mean, there is no other school or team in that school's history that has made it.
And we did it.
Yeah, and that's
man,
crazy.
I kind of got a little cold chill right there.
That's right. I mean, it's special. So these schools that go every year, they don't sometimes understand how special it is to even get there, let alone to do as well as some of them do. From a coaching standpoint, I mean, my proudest achievement will still be getting my first head coaching job, taking on Millersport, and being 500 with them. I mean, that team should not have been 500, and we could have easily been 7-3. A couple things bounce our way. So I mean, that would definitely be my happiest moment, was finding out I was going to get my opportunity to be a head coach.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man, and you've done a heck of a job, dude. And I know you got a little bit of a job ahead of you. Last season was not, obviously as successful as you wanted it to be. I think you guys got it on the right track. And you said how many kids did you say you had? 28?
We had 28 last year. We're looking at like mid to upper 30s right now.
Oh,
so
nice.
36, 37.
Yeah, man. As long as you get the numbers out, you're definitely, your head's in the right place. And I like keeping the wing tee. I mean, with everybody going to the spread, I mean, you see it every week. Watch Navy in particular. When it's executed correctly, that is a nightmare to deal with. You can shorten the game. You get up a couple scores. You could essentially stalk away the game in the third quarter.
That's right, and that's what we were able to do that first year at Millersport. We would pound, and all of a sudden we'd start taking off with it because they weren't going to get the ball very often once we got a hold of it.
Yeah. Yeah, man. So, dude, I appreciate you coming on with us today, dude. This was awesome. When's the first game? Tell us when the first game is.
All right, first game is August 24th, I believe, which is a Friday, and it'll be at home, West Muskingum. And I think all the games are now at 7 o'clock instead of 7:30.
Instead of 7:30. I did see that.
It's hard to believe that, but, we could actually be home before 11 o'clock some nights.
Yeah. You guys scrimmaging anybody this year?
Yeah, we have 3 scrimmages. The first one is the second Tuesday of 2-a-days. So I think is that the 7th or something like that?
Something like that, yeah.
It's Fairfield Christian is coming to us at 6 o'clock, and then we have Lakewood coming to us that same week on Saturday at 10 o'clock. And then we finish on the following Thursday with Rosecrans, and we go to Rosecrans, and that's our foundation game. I think it's on a Thursday because there's a lot of soccer games that have their actual opening nights on that Friday. So that's why we try to do that. Unfortunately, run into some steer showing problems with the Muskingum County Fair that week, but it happens. It happens. So.
Hey, you know what? We had a sweet corn festival, so
that's right, we did,
and we got out of school for.
There's always something.
Goofiest thing ever. So anybody that doesn't know, and especially our West Coast listeners out in LA, we went to a school called Millersport, and they had a sweet corn festival, and we would get off all summer. We'd go back earlier than everybody else because we would go back for 3 days. We'd have the weekend off, go back 2 days, and then we'd be off 6 days. So
yeah, it's kind of crazy to think about it. Everybody always gets Labor Day off, but we had Wednesday, Thursday, Friday off.
Yeah,
before that too as well.
Yeah, oh, it was awesome. And then the parade and the whole bit. And then we always had. I mean, one of the coolest things ever was playing on a night the Sweet Corn Festival was going on.
You see all the lights in the background.
Home
games at Sweet Corn Festival were always the best. Away games were terrible.
Yeah, away games were terrible
because you were all tired from the fair food.
Yeah,
so you had to hope you had someone that wasn't very good that day.
We always played Miller, thank God. So yeah, but yeah, little lights in the background. I remember one of my best games I ever had. Let me date myself again. One of the best games I ever had. The Kentucky Headhunters were playing, and you could hear them. My dad was taping the game. I'm sure you remember this, putting together your VHS tapes to send to the different schools. Because Twitter was obviously not around, or I just didn't sign up for it apparently at the time.
Kids don't realize how good they have it with recruiting.
Oh no, not at all. I mean, it's crazy.
I had to sit there and manually record the VHS tape back then. Now they can just all do it on Huddle. It's easy.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember there was one time it was like we wanted to get this one run, and we went to go slice it into another VHS tape, but somebody bumped Dad's arm, and it just all we got was bleacher. And that was like, and cheering and loud noises. So maybe I did a flip into the end zone forever. It'll be ever be known as I just Walter Payton it just right into the end.
Just front flipped right into the end zone.
Into the end zone. Yeah. So, Will, you got anything else for Josh today?
Nope, I don't.
All right, man. This was awesome. It's part 2 of our Coaches Spotlight show. I'm really pumped to get these guys on. I'm very fortunate. We're super blessed to be able to. Everybody's been saying yes to us so far, except for you, Denison University. I don't understand you. It doesn't make any sense that I can get. I'm going to do a little rant. It doesn't make any sense that I can get the Notre Dame soccer coach, the director of social media at Notre Dame, this guy, the head coach of North Catholic. I can get Allison Hayes from the Big Ten Network, but Denison University right up the road, I can't even get their soccer coach to email me back. What? I give up. But so the new shirts are out, the new Notre Dame Club of Columbus shirts, if you can see them. That Dempsey's on the back. Jason and Nate, I know I didn't shout you guys out earlier. We didn't have a natural disaster today with the show, believe it or not. Everything went smoothly, so that was actually the disaster because I was waiting on it. So, yes, our show is also in affiliation with the Dos Leprechauns out in L.A. Let's see. I'll have those shirts out to you guys very, very soon. What I'm waiting on is North Catholic Coach Ryan Aiello is supposed to send us some shirts, supposed to send you guys some shirts. I want to do one shipment, all right? CBS hasn't paid me yet. So once they do, me and Will sell the show.
Yeah.
And then we'll get all your stuff to you. We'll drive it to you once they drop that $4 million I'm waiting on.
Yeah.
So also the show is brought to you by DJ Digital Input, our guy Kent Price. I completely botched that up again. I didn't botch it. I just forgot. 740-973-0817 for any DJ needs you should have, like a Comanche Club 5:30 a.m. workout. You probably don't have a stadium to pump music through, so have Kent come out. Kent would come. You know
he probably would.
You know
yeah.
he would. Kent would come out. He would come out and rock some music for you in your backyard while you did some gassers. So, let's see. Live show at Dempsey's on location for the Notre Dame Michigan game. We're going to do a pregame show. I'm working on a guest. I can't drop names. I have a name I've talked to. 30-minute-ish conversation. He said he would come up if he doesn't have Michigan tickets. So I just don't want to name drop and then somebody get all excited and then not show up. So, but yeah, we're going to do a pregame show. Starts at 5:30 on September 1st. And I think that's about it. Next week, quick turnaround. Tim Johnson, Marion Franklin, defensive coordinator, will be on with us. Until then, find us at on Twitter at East of the Bend and on Facebook at East of the Bend, Google Play, iTunes. And remember, the new YouTube channel is also YouTube East of the Bend, or ever how you find it. Just search it. So for Will, my guy Josh here, we'll have him on the show again. We might do like a call-in show during the season if you're cool with that.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Talk about the game the night before, probably one that I've attended, because I'm going to make it down this year. Because I want to know what I'm talking about when I'm asking you questions. Like, hey, how about that third down? What?
So that guy ran that ball really fast.
Yeah, so that seemed fast. So so we'll do that. And I do have a couple other announcements coming up, but we'll get there when I can confirm some things. And Kevin Neff, real quick, I want to thank you so much if you're watching or downloading later for working on the logo. The new logo looks tremendous. It's going to get dropped once he gets the sponsors on there. He's a graphic designer. I don't know if on the side or by trade, but once he gets the sponsors on there, I'll release it. Until then, it'll probably be next Saturday during Tim Johnson's show. I'll release the new logo, but it looks phenomenal. And those who have seen it, the 6 people that have, they agree with me, so I must be right. So until next time, guys, go Irish.